absolutely. Like, I'm not a journalist, but that seems pretty biased. I work for the meat industry, and meat is needed for child growth and development, for our military. It needs to be at our table because I'm an American, darn it. I think that's a little biased because I work for the meat industry. It'd be like, hey, have a smoke. I work for the cigarette companies, and hey, come on, we need free choice in this country. Have a smoke. Come on, have a smoke with me. Same thing? Who should influence our health? Who? Scientists? Are they just passé? Do we not care about the science? Do we care about what Americans want and think? Or do we even care more about people who work for the meat industry? Who's going to define what our guidelines are? I have no answer to that. If you feel strongly, you should get in and comment. Maybe say that this guy might be a little biased.
Can you comment on other people's comments on this?
Sure. You can comment pretty much on anything you want. I bring this up first because I want to show you something second that kind of goes along with this. This is not just a matter of health, because the truth of the matter is you can eat lean meat and be healthy. And if you eat it not in huge quantities, and stay away from the bacons, the sausages, all the stuff that has the fat stuffed into it, right? But this committee chose to also look at environmental issues. And I know one of the issues you guys looked at was the issue of food waste, okay? So this committee chose to actually step into that realm and think about the impact of animal husbandry and the things that we do with animals to produce this meat that we're eating, particularly the meat that we're eating perhaps at more like cheaper places like fast food establishments and all of that. If you move down this list a little bit, you can see some comments to that regard. Here, we need smaller farms operating, sustainable agriculture, plant-based diets for better human health, clean drinking water, sustainability of water in our future, not cutting down forests to make room for animal agriculture. Please recognize that wilderness and wildlife need protection in order to be sustained, and unfortunately they are in conflict with the massive scale animal agriculture. Thank you. No, this is an anonymous comment, so again, you can make anonymous comments. So I strongly believe that sustainability recommendations should be included in the report. It's part of the equation that we simply cannot ignore in this day and age. Thank you for your consideration of my comments. I, as a citizen, and a taxpayer, I'm concerned about the sustainability of our health and our planet. I applaud the Dietary Guidelines Committee for including the major findings represented in Chapter 5, Food Sustainability and Safety regarding plant-based diets as more health-promoting and associated with less environmental impact than the current U.S. diet. So I want to show you a short PowerPoint that goes with this. And this PowerPoint is, is about this issue of sustainability and meat and what we eat. And it says, could your diet affect your health and the planet both at once? I'm going to show you. Healthy planet, healthy people, go meatless on Mondays. Have you guys heard of the Meatless Mondays movement? Yeah? Okay. So let me show you a little bit about what this is about. True or false? Transportation has a higher environmental impact than meat. What do you think? Which puts more pollution out? Cars or animals?
Cars.
Who says cars? Okay. Who says animals? All right. Why do you think that?
I mean, car pollution has kind of been cut over the last couple of decades with modern technology, whereas animals, they have waste and they have to be fed and all this other stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot of the issues behind the sustainability issue. And there you go. False. According to a United Nations report, 18% of greenhouse gases come from meat, and 13% come from all the world's transportation. Changing what's on your plate can make a big difference. Okay? So emissions, greenhouse gases, coming more from meat. Do you see that in your journalism stuff? You're going to see in a little bit that the public is largely unaware of this issue. Okay, making one hamburger pollutes the air more than driving a car 20 miles, and the meat industry produces more greenhouse gases than all cars, trains, and airplanes combined. Okay? True or false? When I eat a burger, I could be contributing to the destruction of the Amazon rainforest.
Based on the last one, I'm gonna go with true.
How many say true? I know. Well, anybody say false? All right, true. Sounds strange. How could this be? Burgers come from cows. Many cows are raised on factory farms and fed soy. Soy is grown in the Amazon rainforest, and trees are cut down to make room for soy. So the environmental impact of hamburgers: habitat loss, wild animals are displaced, ecosystem breakdown. The beef travels around the world, enormous water use during production. Cows produce methane, that's your greenhouse gases, pollution from manure, waterways damaged, and you thought it was just a simple burger. Why meatless? Because making one hamburger destroys approximately 55 square feet of rainforest. Now, these are not sensational slides. These come from Johns Hopkins University. And Johns Hopkins has a sort of sustainability center there. And these are available for people who want to kind of present and promote one day a week off from meat to help sustainability in regard to the planet. Making one hamburger uses 10 times the fossil fuel as making a veggie burger does. And making one hamburger takes more electricity than leaving a light on for 7 days straight. I know I don't like to leave my lights on. I make sure they're all off. I turn off my computer, things like that. But eating meat is the most inefficient and resource-intensive thing that a lot of us do, myself included. I'm part of this as well. I'm not a vegetarian. Why meatless? Because making one hamburger takes 600 gallons of water and produces 10 pounds of sewage waste. Not all food is equal. This is the CO2 produced from each item. And you can see potatoes, apples, asparagus, even chicken is fairly low. Pork is low, and beef is very, very high. Hence, the recommendation on eating less red meat, because that's beef. Okay? The report is not so concerned with chicken and pork. Remember, pork's the other white meat, right? And so they don't say white meat, they say red meat. And it is truly beef that they're concerned about in regard to environmental impact. Clean water is a scarce resource. 4,500 liters of water for one steak, and 70 liters of water for one apple. So the question is, should we be using all this water on cows? So we will reduce our carbon footprint, minimize water use, and reduce fuel dependence if we eat less meat. Yes?
What in particular makes like cows so bad for the environment? Like, beef. Like, what makes it so bad for the environment? Is it the way it's cooked or produced, or?
It's the way because an animal's an inefficient organism, so it has to be watered, right? It has to grow, be watered. In essence, you have to give it lots of water for that. You have to feed it a lot. So the corn, there's something thought of. We subsidize corn production in this country in our farm bill. Have you guys learned about that at all? Not so much. A farm bill is our kind of how our country has turned into big farms versus little farms, because the government goes way back to the 1940s, where they wanted to support farms in order to produce food during the Great Depression of the 1930s. But the Farm Bill has been in place since that time, and it's still pretty much the same as it used to be. And we subsidize large-scale crops that go into the food supply, such as corn, soy, and those kinds of things that go into a lot of processed foods. And at one time, it was about feeding more people, and now it's just about making more processed foods, a lot of people think.
Okay. So, I mean, like grass-fed cows.
Correct. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Because grass-fed cows, I'm going to show you something in relation to that, because there are people who are trying to do supportive animal husbandry where you do let the cows graze. You don't mass produce them, so it uses less resources and they produce less gases that way. They're smaller herds, and as opposed to these big farms that have thousands and thousands of cows. So the question becomes, because we're going to tie it up with kind of this, the question becomes, if we said in these dietary guidelines, eat less meat, what would be so bad about that? Why don't we eat less meat but more quality meat, right? The grass-fed cows, it just have a small portion of it. Because we're not seeing any less, we're not saying eat no meat at all. We're just saying eat less of it. It will have a better environmental impact if we eat less. The problem is, I think, and I'll get to this in a second, but can we really do that for everybody? Did you ever try to buy grass-fed beef? Anybody in here?
It's so expensive.
Yeah, I can't even buy it. Frankly, I don't make enough money to buy grass-fed beef. Okay, so what's the answer? Like when we talk, because you've heard about food insecurity. I know you have, because you heard about from Dr. Allen. And you heard about Philadelphia Feed, another huge, great organization working on food insecurity. Can we really afford to be a country who produces food in a different way? Do we know? I'm not sure, because this it's an issue, and also. We know that people who are food insecure, and this is well documented, they can go into a place like Wendy's or Burger King or something and get a really nice meal for a couple dollars. Should we be, pulling back on that so that that's not accessible to people? So when you really get down to it, how much should our food cost? And is this truly an elitist? Is this an elitist recommendation to say that?